This visit of His Holiness the Dalai Lama illustrates the important role of universities in exploring issues that are of profound importance and consequence to human life, society, and the world at large. At the University of Minnesota, this visit has prompted a series of conversations and presentations, including a policy dialogue at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs on the Tibetan community in exile, an art exhibit at the Boynton Health Service on traditional Tibetan medicinal plants, a film preview by the School of Music on Tibetan music and culture, and a conference on Tibetan medicine hosted by the Center for Spirituality and Healing. The strong response to this visit illustrates the character of the University of Minnesota, one that is collaborative, interdisciplinary, and committed to meaningful partnerships with the community, which is why the Center for Spirituality and Healing was such a perfect host for this event. The center has relationships and programmatic ties across the entire campus, as well as very strong partnerships with community organizations. This visit is particularly relevant to the research interests of the Center for Spirituality and Healing. Faculty in the center have been conducting research on mind-body practices such as meditation for more than 10 years. Recent clinical trials have found that meditation is as effective as drugs in treating insomnia. People who have had an organ transplant and who practice mindful meditation are less anxious and depressed and have a better quality of life. And meditation can improve the experience of being a caregiver of someone diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Your Holiness, we are deeply honored and grateful that you have returned to our campus. And we know that this community, home to the second largest population of Tibetans in the United States, is very important to you. The University of Minnesota Board of Regents is awarding you the Doctorate of Humane Letters. This is the highest award given by the University of Minnesota, and it is only bestowed on individuals who have attained outstanding accomplishments in their field. Your nomination was unique. In addition to authoring more than 70 books, you have had a global impact on so many fields: spirituality and ethics, neuroscience, Buddhism, human rights, environmental protection, and peace, just to name a few areas of your interest and the reach of your work. You've also been awarded both the United States Congressional Gold Medal and the Nobel Peace Prize, an achievement shared by our beloved alumnus, Dr. Norman Borlaug, and matched by very, very few people in the entire world. Your presence here at the University of Minnesota and internationally cultivates peace, and it is our distinct honor to award you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Your Holiness, I would like you to join us at the podium. Regent Clyde Allen will join me in conferring the degree, and I'd like to begin by reading the official citation. University of Minnesota, Doctor of Humane Letters, native of Toxter, Amdo, temporal and spiritual leader of Tibet and its government in exile, 1950 to the present. Recipient of the Girsha Lamrapa degree honors. Jokang Temple, Lhasa, 1959. Author of a draft democratic constitution, 1963, and a 5-point peace plan, 1987, for Tibet. Proponent of scientific research through the Mind and Life Institute, 1987 to the present. Nobel Peace Prize recipient, 1989. Initiator of the first direct democratic elections for a representative Tibetan government, 1992 and 2001. Author of more than 72 books, including the New York Times bestseller, The Art of Happiness. Recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal in 2007. Founder of the Dalai Lama Trust to support the welfare of the Tibetan people and preserve their culture and heritage, 2009 to the present. Because you demonstrate with quiet determination, a compassionate heart, and a curious mind, even the path of a simple Buddhist monk can lead to a place of global understanding and deep purpose. Because your teachings reveal all that we share, from the fundamental desire for happiness and freedom to the impact that we have on our planet. Because you remind us that peace is attained not simply when wars cease, but when basic human needs are met and basic human rights are respected. And because your embrace of scientific inquiry into the life of the mind has illuminated the symbolic relationship between health and well-being, inspiring the commitment of the University of Minnesota to transform the delivery of health care, not only through research and clinical innovation, but also by advancing understanding of how diverse cultural beliefs and healing practices can improve human health and the human condition.
The Regents of the University of Minnesota, upon recommendation of the faculties, confer upon Tenzin Gyatso, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, conferred on May 8, 2011, signed Ann Cieslak, Executive Secretary of the Board of Regents, Robert H. Brunix, President, Clyde Allen, Chair of the Board of Regents.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Dalai Lama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you much. Oh, that's good.
Thank you. I think all of you know that His Holiness is very fond of visor caps, and so we also want to add to the distinction of this honorary degree a very special symbol of a visor from the University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It looks very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Dalai
Thank you.
Lama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Tarbe, Sule. I didn't live in. Yes. I speak here, from here. 그나도 많이 필요해.
휴대전화 안 한대로.
나도 안 돼. 어? Chancellor, I'm a respected Chancellor
President.
of this
President.
President at this, I think, famous great university, Minnesota. So, I have to confirm. So these names, these different sort of thing, my mind is not very
Good at details.
not very reliable. Okay. So, you give me this honorary degree. So, thank you very much. And I often, telling, when I receive this kind of sort of honorary degree, I usually special thank the sort of high degree of university sort of degree, but myself without much sort of study. I'm sure the ordinary people, in order to get that kind of degree, you need a lot of effort. And then special thank for this head. Whenever there's a strong light there, I usually carry one sort of cap. But without this,
Without the top part.
No, the top part in cold climate very good, but hot climate, too hot. So now this is very good. Then also sometimes I notice some people who bald head. Sometimes some people, prefer one head. So I do not want to hide, my sort of boldness. Yeah. So this is also very good. You can see. Shining head. Okay. So after 10 years, once more, I'm here. And each time, people really showing genuine human warm feeling. I very much appreciate that. And my side also, whenever I meet people, no matter what their culture, no matter what their faith, or their nationality, or their color, I always emphasis the fundamental importance of fundamental level. The fundamental level, we are same human being. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. And also more important, everyone, including animals, insects, want sort of peaceful sort of life, do not want disturbances. And everyone have the right to achieve that. So we all have the same right to have happy life, successful life. And then, of course, the education institution such as this, very, very important, because we human brain, there is great potential, increased knowledge. So, such as this sort of university, I think, really tremendous help to grow these potential. Now here, I want one small sort of add. Modern education system, obviously, as far as I know, about 1,000 years ago, in the European continent, separate education institutions started. At that time, the moral, spiritual, ethics side, religious institutions take care, and religious institutions take full responsibility to take care about these spiritual side. And also, I think family value. Also, you see, very much emphasis on these values. So at that time, the newly developed, newly established sort of education institution, they care only about brain development, education. So then time passes. The influence from the church also comparatively little decline. And then the family sort of value also sometimes little decline. So then the education institution itself now should take care both brain development or knowledge side and warm-heartedness. So here seems to see not adequate pay attention about how to develop, how to keep the compassionate human mind. I think we are in 21st century, now beginning of 21st century. Generally speaking, modern sort of what's the material development and modern education, I think both generally highly developed. However, that not necessarily reduce human problem. For example, 20th century, I think in whole human history, I think the most century, important sort of century, during that century, a lot of sort of inventions,
innovations.
Innovation, yes, a lot of innovations in the field of science and technology, mainly. And then also the economy and many other, and education also, you see, much sort of developed. However, that 20th century, according to some historian, they say within 20th century, the number of people, human beings, who killed through violence, through war or civil war, around 200 millions. I think all these past several centuries, I think the biggest number casualty through violence, I think biggest number in 20th century. And also, I think as a result of invention, technology, science, nuclear weapon also developed. And unfortunately, during Second World War, almost end of the war, 2 bombs used on human being. I had the opportunity to visit Hiroshima, Nagasaki, both. when I, see, in my previous visit, when I reach the spot, the center of the explosion, the sort of terrible sort of what's the scenes, and also they create small sort of museum. One watch, about 10 a.m. Then stop, burned. And one bunch of needles, melted, half melted. Then also, I think previous visit, I also met some old patient who become sick because of radiation from the nuclear weapon. So these immense destructive weapons brought on this planet more fear, more anxiety. So the really marvelous achievement by human brain bring more fear, more anxiety. So what's wrong? Knowledge? Oh, marvelous knowledge. But then, here, the moral principle. That's lacking. So therefore, out of our past sort of experience, what we learned, I think now time comes, we have to think more how to cultivate and how to sustain a sensible sort of moral, or say, ethics. What is the moral ethics? I feel the very word moral related with mind, emotion, not matter. We can't say on the basis of matters, moral, difficult. Moral related mental quality. So certainly those mind or emotion or motivation which brings comfort, happiness, joyfulness, that is the, I feel, moral thing. The motivation or emotion which brings fear, which brings pain, distrust, these are immoral. So we human beings, social animal, our survival, individual survival, the individual may be billionaire, very powerful person, but as a human being, for their survival, they need human community. So that's human nature. We are, since nature created as a social animal. So for social animal, genuine cooperation is very essential. Even these small insects or birds or some sort of also the animals, those social animals, they have no religion, they have no constitution, no government, but by nature, biological factor, the sense of community, work together. And cooperation. So we also basically social animal. So we really need cooperation. Now, cooperation, genuine cooperation, cannot develop by force, by money, by power. Genuine cooperation entirely based on friendship. Friendship entirely based on trust. Trust based on open-heartedness. If you look other, open, honest, speak honest, act honestly, truthfully, that brings trust. Trust brings friendship. Friendship brings genuine harmony, cooperation. So, I think basic element for openness or trust is warm-heartedness. If you keep here warm-heartedness, consider others just like me, want happy, do not want suffering. So therefore, it is illogical, harming others, cheating others, lying others. If you receive lie from someone, you feel uncomfortable. So, according our own experience, we must avoid any physical action, verbal action, mental action, which brings fear, harm, uncomfortable on others. These are immoral. Physical action, mental action, verbal action, which brings happiness, joyfulness, not only for temporary, but also for long term. These things are moral. So here, irrespective of whether believe religion or not, different. So now question is, a point is, by nature, we all have the potential. Warm-heartedness there. Because we all come from our mother. And we grown up under mother's tremendous affection. We all have the same sort of experience. That's very, very important. The tremendous affection at the time of very young age really makes differences whole life. Now, my own little experience. I come from very remote area, northeast Tibet, northeast part of Tibet. Particularly my home, village, very remote, and farmer. My mother, both parents, illiterate. However, my mother, very, very kind-hearted. Really, very good mother. So therefore, we, her children, is grown up within that atmosphere. So that, I think, really makes
difference.
I think immense impact. Sometimes I jokingly was telling my friend, my mother, so kind to me. And of course, when I was young, I'm the youngest her children. So usually, you see, the mother extend love to all, but particularly the younger one, the youngest one. So that little spoiled me, I think. So the reason, as a villager, the mother usually you see carry her children, her child on shoulder. So me too, my mother used to carry me. Then mother so kind towards me. So I become a little aggressive. So while I sit on my mother's shoulder, I hold my mother's 2 ears. When I want to go this direction, I do this. and that direction. Go like that. If mother not follow that way, then I cry and my leg do that. So in any way, I really feel, you see, the certain amount of my sort of warm-heartedness originally come from my mother. So we all come from mother. And then, obviously, if we examine each individual thoroughly, then those individuals outwardly appears more or less sort of everybody smart. But in deeper level, those individuals who receive maximum affection from our mother at the young age, in deep insight, much calm, much calmer, and full of sort of less fear, sense of security. Those individuals may be very wise, very educated, very famous, but in deep insight, those who receive less affection, or even sort of what's the abuse, then in deep insight, some sense of insecurity, cold. So such people, difficult to show other real affection. So their whole life, in deep insight, some sense of lonely, helpless. So that's our common experience. So we all have the potential which we received from our mother and our friends. Then, obviously, when you watch people or family, those family materially may not be very rich, but full of affection, friendship. That family much happier. Then those family, very rich, very powerful, but among family member, a little sort of suspicion or competition, that kind of feeling. Then lack of real sort of affection, trust. I think facilities are very good, but in real human, the level of genuine happiness, genuine sort of satisfaction, they are much less. It's quite obvious. Then more important, the latest scientific finding. I often was telling, at one conference, you see, one medical scientist, in his sort of presentation, he mentioned those people who often use word I, me, my, like that, often use the word of self. These people have greater risk of heart attack. Although he didn't sort of explain, and I sort of think over that, then I felt more warm-heartedness, taking more sort of spirit, taking care, taking sort of well-being, concern, well-being of others. That mental attitude automatically opens our heart. And sometimes I describe our inner door open. Through that way, you can easily communicate with other people and easily create friendship. On the other hand, too much extreme self-centered attitude then close your inner door. Difficult to communicate with other people. Then also, when you think only yourself, and whole your mental sort of outlook become very narrow. And with that sort of narrow sort of vision, even small problem for you appears unbearable. When you think more about well-being of other, and our mind become more wider perspective, wider. Result, even quite serious problem for your own problem appears. Okay, it is bad, it is unfortunate, but still okay. That kind of feeling, because your attitude wider. So I think that's the reason. You see, too much self-centered sort of thinking. It's more danger of these, like including heart attack, these things, and depression, these things. So therefore, the warm-heartedness, compassionate attitude is the key factor for good health. I think to some extent, I also can tell you from my own experience, I think my mental state, comparatively, quite peaceful. Even when passing through some difficult period, comparatively, my mind quite calm. Not because dull, I think quite sharp mind, but in deep inside, the sense of affection, concern, well-being of others. And others also consider as a genuine, truly, as human brothers, sisters. There may be different views, different interests, arguable, but still human being. So that kind of sort of attitude really immense help to keep peace of mind. Peace of mind, very, very sort of helpful to keep healthy body. So sometimes we call healthy mind, healthy body. So it is not only take care about healthy body, for that money or materialistic sort of
facilities, material facilities.
Material facility, and also education mainly sort of address about material value. Not adequate. So there must be sort of some sort of
source, method.
Some sort of project to study about our mind, how to tackle these destructive emotions. Now here, the way promoting this inner value, I usually feel three ways. One, theistic religion, concept of God, very powerful to increase their love, compassion. The other day, on one occasion in Jerusalem, we had some sort of discussions with some teachers. One Jewish teacher told our conference, sometime he told his student, when you meet some people who usually you get some irritation, then think that person, image of God. It will help. He sort of taught in his class to his student. So among his students, some Palestinians, some Jews. So later, some of the Palestinian sort of students told him, after we heard your sort of teaching, advice, we practice when we come across the
checkpoints.
Those was the Israeli was the
Checkpoints.
checkpost. Usually they get some sort of complications and little irritation. So then after listening to that advice, then think the troublemaker, also the image of God. Immense benefit, reduce mental irritation. So like that. So one my Muslim friend, he told me, as a genuine practitioner of Islam, you must extend your love towards entire creatures. Since you respect and love to God or Allah, so you must extend your love towards entire creature of God. Very logical. So, theistic way of approach. Then non-theistic religious tradition, like Buddhism and Jainism, the law of causality, no God, no concept of God or creator, but law of causality. So according to that, if you help other, if you do good thing for other, you get benefit. If you harm other, you get negative consequences. So that way of approach also very helpful to increase sense of concern of others' well-being. Then there must be a third way. Since these values, we are not talking about heaven, about hell, about next life. We are not talking that. We're simply talking how be well-being within this life and family level, community level. So therefore, the principle, and as I mentioned earlier, first we learn from mother, whether believer or non-believer, different matter, as I mentioned before. So therefore, these values, these moral principle itself is secular, not related, not based on religious faith. Of course, all major religious tradition emphasize importance of these things, and there is certain method to strengthening these practice, these values. But value itself is just a human nature, a part of human mind, part of human emotion. So since the object itself is, strictly speaking, secular, nothing to do with religion. Even animal appreciate affection. Animal also have the ability to look after their own youngster with full of sort of caring, affection. These are biological factor, not by religious teaching. So it is something secular. So therefore, there should be the way to promote this also secular way. So as I mentioned earlier, using the fact we come from our mother, and also use common sense, we notice the affectionate family much happier. Then scientific finding, so use this sort of fact, and then so develop awareness, importance of these things, and through that way, you can develop conviction. Warm-heartedness is so important for your own well-being. So that's secular way to educate. So therefore, when I use the word secularism, secular does not mean disrespect of religion, but rather respect all religions, and including non-believers. This is not new, but you know, in India, I think out of 3 civilizations, Egyptian civilization, Chinese civilization, then
Yes.
Sindh Valley, sir.
Indus Valley.
Or Indus Valley sort of civilization. Out of these three, I think it seems later the Indus Valley civilization developed much more sort of complex about ideas, about sort of philosophical views. So 1,000 years in India, different sort of philosophical views. One philosophical view is actually nihilism. No God, no next life, no salvation, nothing except dead-raised life. So that's they call nihilistic school of thought. So the rest of the sort of Indian school of thought criticize that nihilistic sort of view. However, the person who believe that sort of school of thought refer Rishi. Rishi means sage. So respect. So that's India's sort of 1,000-year-old tradition. You have different views. On the level of view, criticize, debate. But as a person, respect, must respect. So one of my Indian friend, the former Deputy Indian Prime Minister, once he told me like that, one of the reasons India very successful about democracy because of that tradition. You always respect different views and criticize each other, but respect. So the India's also the understanding about secularism, respect even non-believer. So that I think very relevant to today's world. So when I use the secularism, please don't think the secularism is something a little bit negative attitude towards religion. Not that way, but rather respect. So therefore, third way of promoting these inner value should be logically, secular way, without touching. Now even sort of secular sort of education system, this kind of sort of approach is very fit. India, according to the reality, 1,000 years, multi-religious sort of
reality.
Community. Several kingdoms, everywhere, beside homegrown different religious tradition, all major world religious tradition eventually sort of found their sort of land, their home and settled. Even like the Zoroastrian, the Parsi, they call Parsi, originally come from Persia. Now today in India, one big city, Bombay, their population, whole population, less than 100,000. Even smaller than Tibetan refugee population. Very small. They kept their own religion, that is Zoroastrian. Always keep fire. No danger, no threat. And recently I met one European from Romania. He carries some research about the harmony, different religious tradition in India. And he told me, he really surprised. One village, whole village, Muslim community, only 3 Hindu family. But no fear, no threat. Very happily remain very close friendship. He's surprised. So that's India's sort of tradition. 1,000 years, harmony among the different religious traditions. And India's constitution itself, because of that reality, constitution based on secularism. So that I usually see the sharing with people because some my friend from the West, some Christians, a little reservation about the word of secularism. And then also some Muslim friend, similarly. So the problem, some people believe moral principle must be based on religious faith. Then complication rise. So India, because of that reality, multi-religious sort of society, if there's a moral ethics based on religious faith, then what religion? A lot of complication. Some say there is God, some say no God, a lot of complication. So avoid that. Simply based on secular moral ethics. It is much easier, much better. That can be universal. Religious faith cannot be universal. Here, you see, I want to share one thing. According to religious tradition, the concept of one truth, one religion is very important. For individual level, that's very relevant in order to boost your own faith. But in the terms of community, several people, group of people, now that one truth, one religion concept, not realistic. In terms of community, different people who have different sort of faith, and including non-believer. Then how can tell one truth, one religion about one's own religion is the only truth, only religion? Then how can force on other, you should accept my religion? Impossible. So therefore, realistically speaking, in the terms of community, concept of several truth, several religion is relevant. Individual level, one concept of one truth, one religion is relevant. No contradiction. Because of individual case, one truth, one religion. In the terms of community, several truth, several religion. That's realistic. So there is no contradiction, isn't it? So therefore, whenever I had the opportunity to talk these things, then I very much sort of appreciate this university. Now, one more step forward about spirituality and healing. I think very good. So I really looking forward more progress, more activities in that field, so that I think within next few years I will return in order to check how much development. So in any way, I really appreciate some other university like Wisconsin University and Stanford University and Emory University. As far as I know, these universities already, you see, carrying some program about the training of mind and how much effect on body, on mind. So now I found fourth university, that's University of Minnesota. So now future, I will mention 4 universities who really carrying serious research work in that respect. So I very much appreciate. Thank you. So that's all. Thank you. Some questions. Some questions. Please. Please.
for me some time for a few questions.
그래서
By coincidence, the artist Weiwei was planning to be in Minneapolis today, and instead he sits in a Chinese jail. What advice would you have for him and others who are working to make China a better place?
나도 고무도.
Lord.
마로사스. 내리자. 내리자. 단데 답 레버질이야 단데. 데 단데 개미 아티스트 jan demi tanate remote kara chimbe chongana chu pola thoma chinde de yong bu ke jeresa ani ine tanda ko yong ma tu bo sta tam bi chongana de de res tenza ani kun de mo ne risha tanda kun de mo ne tanda maung bo la jana da ba ya ni shi de yong ai ta ya tan le ku pe ya ba ku zu mi se ka lo kar na ka.
Unfortunately, recent years, and particularly recent month, the Chinese government, due to hardliner sort of, also the thinking, more tight control among the intellectuals and also artists, including like this. I think it is, look, in the past, during Cultural Revolution, and even before Cultural Revolution, the number of occasions, a lot of sort of restriction, a lot of sort of suppression, the intellectuals. But the intellectual is something, I think, the treasure of human brain. So it cannot control. Again, for temporary, yes, some of these people is put in prison or house arrest. Then again, new intellectuals or even these will get freedom. So China, most populated nation, 1.3 billion of population, and long history, cultural people, hard-working. These, I think, tragedy sometimes come and disappear, sometimes come, disappear. Important is the people, particularly those intellectual people, no reason to feel hopelessness or demoralized, must keep their sort of spirit, their enthusiasm. That I want to share. Okay.
Next question. What is a healthy balance between attachment to one's home and non-attachment as taught by Buddhism? Please address this question on both a personal level, attachment to children, parents, and on a societal level, attachment to the US and Tibet.
Oh, yes. There are two levels of sense of sort of concern of other. One level, as I mentioned earlier, the biological factor. That, what you call compassion or affection, they oriented their attitude. So therefore, that level of compassion can that kind of sort of compassion only towards your friend, not your enemy. Because enemy's attitude is negative towards you. So the very basis of compassion, not there. Now, when religious sort of tradition, when we talk compassion, and including Buddhism, when we talk about compassion, is not oriented their attitude, but the being, as I mentioned earlier, the creature itself, regardless their attitude towards you. They are creature. They are God's creation, same. So extend our love, compassion, affection, like that. So that is now not oriented their attitude, but rather themselves. For example, taking care, some kind of sort of nurturing yourself. Not due to you yourself nice to yourself. No. This spontaneously, you want happiness, you do not want suffering. So the sense of taking care comes. So others also, including your enemy, also have the same desire to overcome suffering, to achieve happiness, and also have the right. So on that basis, we can extend our compassion. So that compassion is unbiased. The previous compassion is biased. So previous compassion very much related with attachment. The later part of the compassion without attachment. Attachment very much focusing one thing, biased. So one time in Argentina, our meeting, one Chilean physicist, quite well sort of known, famous sort of physicist, he mentioned at the meeting, his scientist, physicist, quantum physicist, he mentioned, but he should not develop attachment towards his own scientific field. That's really marvelous. So, for example, my own case, I'm Buddhist, but I should not develop attachment towards Buddhism. If I develop attachment with Buddhism, then my mind becomes biased. Through biased, mind cannot see the other's value objectively. So therefore, Buddhism never sort of encourage development of attachment. Attachment, compassion, two things. So in order to develop unbiased, infinite love and compassion, first you must detach equality to all enemy, friend. Enemy must reduce anger, distance feeling. Your friend side, detach, equal. Then develop the unbiased sort of compassion. And then also, you see, it often, you see, people confuse the Buddhism and some other sort of religion. I think mainly Buddhism, you see, consider desire is something negative. But desire with attachment is negative. But desire with reason is, we have to sort of develop. Like desire, well-being of others. Desire to overcome one's own suffering. That's right. Desire without a proper sort of, basis or foundation. That desire very much related with attachment. So that kind of desire must sort of reduce. And then anger. There are different varieties of anger. Anger with ill feeling. Anger out of compassion, sense of concern. There are differences. Even ego feeling. Egoistic sort of attitude which lead bully, exploit on other, look down other. That kind of egoistic attitude is negative. But another sort of ego feeling, the sense of strong self, is necessary. In order to develop courage, willpower, you need sense of strong self. So in sort of mental world or emotional world, there are so many varieties. One emotion due to that sort of factor, due to that factor, and it become more positive. Even sort of faith, good, but faith to wrong thing and dangerous, blind faith, like that. So faith with wisdom, with intelligence, very good. Faith, just attachment, negative, like that. So there are so many varieties. Now next question.
They do. Two did.
Yes.
This question is from a 9-year-old.
9-year-old.
Eva Nerison. If you could completely solve one problem in the world, what would that be? Nyokta chiktawa ne mebas sotuya inas. Tati nyokta kantejla muchinangi bas.
I don't know. I think in reality, there are so many varieties of problems. So just one person, you see, cannot solve this problem. All over 6 billion human beings have the responsibility to tackle these problems. Or, I think, half joke. One problem I myself can easily solve. That's too much thirsty or hungry. Then I drink a lot and I eat something, solve that problem. That is very easy. Yes, next.
What role do you see the internet playing in helping people to experience and discover one heart, one mind, and one universe? What can we do to further this role?
I think internet, one of the very advanced sort of communication, right? And I think basically, I feel human mind, in order to develop human mind sort of more complete form, we need a lot of information. Just one information, one-sided information, very harmful. So we need variety of information. One factor, one say good, one say bad. We need both concepts. Then give us opportunity to investigate by yourself. So now today, I think era, information era survey. Oh, it's wonderful. I think because of that, I think a lot of positive change take place on this planet. Unlike, you see, say early part of 20th century, or even mid part, right, of 20th century, less information, then sometimes unnecessary emotions sometimes develop. So more information, more clear picture about the whole world. Immense help. So now I always telling when I met press meeting, I always telling them, the media people should have long nose, like elephant nose, and should smell front, and important is behind what is going on. That's very, very important. Provided, and the thorough investigation, what is happening, what is going on, then inform public, provided honestly, truthfully, unbiasedly, objectively. That's very important. So now, I think particularly democratic society, I'm telling or expressing, world belongs to over 6 billion human beings, not government, not one particular religion. Like United States belongs to people of the United States, not Democratic Party or Republican Party. So therefore, the govern the country, say, over the American population now,
300
more than
300
million.
No.
So all 300 millions, you see, together control or govern your country, impossible. So best way through election. Democratically elected government is really by the people, for the people, really the best way, best system to govern your own country by people is the democratic system. So, in order to carry democratic system, according moral principle,
efficient,
not only efficient but with moral principle. Sometimes constitution very good. Everybody under law equal. Yes, this country really you should practice that. However, sometimes human brain is so clever. Even system very good, but some way a little different things also happen, isn't it? Therefore, the media people here, media people need make clear what is wrong, what is the corrupted mind, what sort of corruption, where corruption going on. That's media people must investigate, not government sort of agent, but media people, the public sort of organization must sort of investigate and make clear. So in this field, internet, I think a very important role. And then also, I always telling the media people, they also have the very, very important role to make more awareness, certain sort of point which we usually neglected, like moral ethics, these things. So I usually is telling them. So therefore, I think the sort of new sort of technology, the information is really wonderful. And of course, if you use wrong way, it also sometimes you see, may create more trouble. But I think as far as you carry honest, truthful, transparent, then more sort of information, better. If you have something to hide, then difficult. If you carry hypocritic way, then you have to be very, very cautious. Yes, next question.
This is the final question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do you... How many?
Do you think the world is getting better or worse, and why?
Better. Reason, not only just my observation. 1996, the end of 20th century, I had opportunity audience with late Queen Mother of England. Her own age, 96. She born, I think,
at the beginning of
beginning of the 20th century. So she observed whole century, almost whole century. So then I asked her, since you observed almost the whole century, so world becoming better or worse or same? Without hesitation, she mentioned to me, better. Reason, when she was young, the concept of human right or right of self-determination, not there, not talking. But nowadays, human right and right of self-determination, these now become universal. She made example, these two, an indication the world becoming better. Now, I think from my own viewpoint, in early part of 20th century, nobody talked about the importance of ecology. Now, many people really showing genuine concern about ecology. It's wonderful. Even, even sort of political party, Green Party, I often, you see, joking, when I met these Green Party in New Zealand or some other country, I jokingly telling them, if I remain in that sort of country, I will join your party, Green Party. So in any way, these are, I think, a sign of more mature. And then also, I think among the scientists, also now looking more seriously about mind. Previously, scientists, hard science, only thing which can measure, which can calculate. Mind, feeling is something different. Now, the modern science slowly advancing, showing interest about what is consciousness, what is the relation between brain and mind. And then also I think among the religious believer, the Pope, Rome, His Holiness John Paul, the
second time,
the Assisi meeting, invite leader of different Christian denomination and also Buddhist, some Hindus. So that also signs of progress. Now, one religion, one truth, gradually change several truth, several religions rather than religion. Right? So these are, I think, clear sign of more civilized, more progress. I think the one, our own experience, one, I think education, really make a tremendous sort of contribution, widening, opening our mind, looking more holistic way, holistic. What do you think? And then I think word of compassion. Previously, in a politician sort of statement, I think word compassion, no seat, no place. The later part, among the politicians' sort of statement, I remember one time Mrs. Thatcher, one of her sort of statement mentioned compassion. And then non-violence. And talking, I think in 20th century, concerned scientists or concerned sort of officials or government, you see, with full enthusiasm to build nuclear weapon. Now people talking how to reduce, how to reach total ban of nuclear weapon. These are, you see, signs of progress, right? Progress. Now I want to share one sort of silly thing. The ladies, particularly ladies, you see, who take really care about your physical beauty, external beauty. And also, I think because of many sort of interest about the cosmetics, right? Cosmetics. So cosmetic business also quite strong. Now, external beauty and internal beauty, out of these two, internal beauty is more important than external beauty. So now in my past experience, some my very close friend, when my first visit, they have, their wife, meet together. Then after a few years, second visit, new wife. Then third, fourth visit, another new wife. I think, of course it is freedom. It is free. Without children, okay. With children, it's quite serious matter. So why these things happen? They marry on the basis of external beauty without knowing internal beauty. So that's the problem. So therefore, so please pay more attention about inner beauty as much external beauty. Thank you.
I think all of you know that His Holiness is very fond of visor caps, and so we also want to add to the distinction of this honorary degree a very special symbol of a visor from the University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It looks very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Dalai
Thank
Lama.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Tarbe, Sure. Yes. I speak here, from here. 그럼 맞아요.
휴대전 안 하는데.
가다 안 돼.
Larry.
Chancellor, I'm a respected Chancellor, of this
president
at this, I think, famous great university, Minnesota. So, I have to confirm. So these names, these different sort of thing, my mind is not very
good at details.
Not very reliable. Okay. So, you give me this honorary degree. So, thank you very much. And I often telling when I receive this kind of sort of honorary degree.
This is the highest award given by the University of Minnesota, and it is only bestowed on individuals who have attained outstanding accomplishments in their field. Your nomination was unique. In addition to authoring more than 70 books, you have had a global impact on so many fields: spirituality and ethics, neuroscience, Buddhism, human rights, environmental protection, and peace, just to name a few areas of your interest and the reach of your work. You've also been awarded both the United States Congressional Gold Medal and the Nobel Peace Prize, an achievement shared by our beloved alumnus, Dr. Norman Borlaug, and matched by very, very few people in the entire world. Your presence here at the University of Minnesota and internationally cultivates peace, and it is our distinct honor to award you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Your Holiness, I would like you to join us at the podium. Regent Clyde Allen will join me in conferring the degree, and I'd like to begin by reading the official citation. University of Minnesota, Doctor of Humane Letters, native of Tokster, Amdo, temporal and spiritual leader of Tibet and its government in exile, 1950 to the present. Recipient of the Girsha Lamrapa degree honors. Jokang Temple, Lhasa, 1959. Author of a draft democratic constitution, 1963, and a 5-point peace plan, 1987, for Tibet. Proponent of scientific research through the Mind and Life Institute, 1987 to the present. Nobel Peace Prize.
I usually special thank the sort of high degree of university sort of degree, but myself without much sort of study. I'm sure the ordinary people, in order to get that kind of degree, you need a lot of effort. And then special thank for this head. Whenever there's a strong light there, I usually carry one sort of cap. But without this,
without the top part.
No, the top part in cold climate very good, but hot climate, too hot. So now this is very good. Then also sometimes I notice some people who bald head. Sometimes some people, you see, prefer one head. So I do not want to hide, you see, my sort of boldness. Yeah. So this is also very good. You can see. Shining head. Okay. So after 10 years, once more, I'm here. And each time, people really showing genuine human warm feeling. I very much appreciate that. And my side also, whenever I meet people, no matter what their culture, no matter what their faith, or their nationality, or their color, I always see emphasis the fundamental importance of fundamental level. The fundamental level, we are same human being. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. And also more important,
recipient, 1989, initiator of the first direct democratic elections for a representative Tibetan government, 1992 and 2001. Author of more than 72 books, including the New York Times bestseller, The Art of Happiness. Recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal in 2007. Founder of the Dalai Lama Trust to support the welfare of the Tibetan people and preserve their culture and heritage, 2009 to the present. Because you demonstrate with quiet determination, a compassionate heart, and a curious mind, even the path of a simple Buddhist monk can lead to a place of global understanding and deep purpose. Because your teachings reveal all that we share, from the fundamental desire for happiness and freedom to the impact that we have on our planet. Because you remind us that peace is attained not simply when wars cease, but when basic human needs are met and basic human rights are respected. And because your embrace of scientific inquiry into the life of the mind has illuminated the symbolic relationship between health and well-being, inspiring the commitment of the University of Minnesota to transform the delivery of health care, not only through research and clinical innovation, but also by advancing understanding of how diverse cultural beliefs and healing practices can improve human health and the human condition.
The Regents of the University of Minnesota, upon recommendation of the faculties, confer upon Tenzin Gyatso, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, conferred on May 8, 2011, signed Ann Cieslak, Executive Secretary of the Board of Regents, Robert H. Brunix, President, Clyde Allen, Chair of the Board of Regents.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Dalai Lama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you much. So
This visit of His Holiness the Dalai Lama illustrates the important role of universities in exploring issues that are of profound importance and consequence to human life, society, and the world at large. At the University of Minnesota, this visit has prompted a series of conversations and presentations, including a policy dialogue at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs on the Tibetan community in exile, an art exhibit at the Boynton Health Service on traditional Tibetan medicinal plants, a film preview by the School of Music on Tibetan music and culture, and a conference on Tibetan medicine hosted by the Center for Spirituality and Healing. The strong response to this visit illustrates the character of the University of Minnesota, one that is collaborative, interdisciplinary, and committed to meaningful partnerships with the community, which is why the Center for Spirituality and Healing was such a special, or such a perfect host for this event. The center has relationships and programmatic ties across the entire campus, as well as very strong partnerships with community organizations. This visit is particularly relevant to the research interests of the Center for Spirituality and Healing. Faculty in the center have been conducting research on mind-body practices such as meditation for more than 10 years. Recent clinical trials have found that meditation is as effective as drugs in treating insomnia. People who have had an organ transplant and who practice mindful meditation are less anxious and depressed and have a better quality of life. And meditation can improve the experience of being a caregiver of someone diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Your Holiness, we are deeply honored and grateful that you have returned to our campus. And we know that this community, home to the second largest population of Tibetans in the United States, is very important to you. The University of Minnesota Board of Regents is awarding you the Doctorate of Humane Letters.